So Adiliah, about Davi, Laszlo, Saleema, and Yarah. So let's, difficult. We'll just write the first letters. So I'll say A, B, D, L, S, and Y. They work in a firm's legal department. Okay. Adiliah supervises Bao and Davi. Okay. So then A supervises B and D. It makes me think of that A, it makes me think of a hierarchy, right? So a tree structure. So I would say A supervises B and D, right? I'll show it like this. Okay. D supervises L. So D supervises L. All right. And L supervises S and Y. So L supervises S and Y. Are we good with this? Right? This is how I show a hierarchy in an organization, right? Okay. Now, these are the only supervisory relationships involving these 6 employees. Okay, so I have 6 employees and these are the relations. Each document that the department processes, so any document that comes into the department must be initially reviewed by exactly one department member. So the first, when the document comes in, it must be reviewed by one department member. So it could be reviewed by either this person or this person or this person or whatever. Yeah. Okay. Each document reviewed by a department member. So let's say if a document was reviewed by B, must then be reviewed by that person's supervisor. So then A would also need to review it, right? So if B has reviewed a document, A would also need to review it. Say if Y had reviewed a document, if a document had come in and Y had reviewed it, then L is the supervisor of Y. So L would also have to review it. But then mind you, when L reviews a document, then L's supervisor D would also have to review it. Why? Because we're not given that this happens only once, right? That the supervisor reviews it. We're given that each document reviewed by a department member must then be reviewed by that person's supervisor. So now if L has reviewed it, because Y reviewed it, so when L has reviewed it, now D must also review it. And since D has reviewed it, now A must also review it. Right? So then the chain has to go up till A then, right? Okay. Now, no other rules require anyone else to review any document. So there are no other rules, just this one, that when the document comes in, one person, whoever out of these 6 people reviews a document, and whenever someone reviews a document, his supervisor must also review the document. These are the only 2 rules. All right. Now, does it remind you of those some questions like sets? So, for example, in case a number is in the set, then its square must also be in the set. You remember that? So then if I put a 2 in the set, then I must put a 4. And now if I've put a 4 in the set, then I must put a 16, right? So if a number goes in the set, then its square must also go, right? Okay. So then, so this is something like that, right? No other rules require anyone else to review any document. Anyone not required to review a given document will not review it. Fine. So only these rules. Now select L among reviewers for the, so select L among reviewers. So we're talking about this, select for this represents essentially this. Yeah, otherwise the wording can be sometimes confusing. So there's, think of this as A. So select A for the maximum number of department members that could have reviewed a single document if L was among the reviewers. So if L was among the reviewers, what is the max? Was not the first person to review it, but L was among the reviewers. Then what is the maximum number of people who could have reviewed a single document? This could have happened, let's say, if the document had first come to S. Then S would have reviewed it, then L would have reviewed it, then D would have reviewed it, then A. So then if L is among the reviewers, then maximum 4 people could have reviewed the document, right? So I'm going to select 4 over here. Now select A among reviewers. So, this is like B or 2. Select this B for the maximum number of department members that could have reviewed a single document if A was among the reviewers. Now we are given that A was among the reviewers. What is again the maximum number of department members that could have reviewed the document? If A reviewed it, maximum possible is again 4. Either these 4 could have reviewed it, right? Or A, D, L, S could have. So again, there are 4 maximum number of people who could have reviewed. And that is why my answer over here is also 4. Right? So I'm going to select 4 for both of them. Make sense? Yeah. Now, if I know that B was now it is not a part of this question, of course, but in case I know that S was one of the reviewers, or Y was one of the reviewers, or L, or D, or A, then I know that the maximum number of people who could have reviewed would be 4, right? But in case, let's say the document had first come, if I know that B was one of the reviewers, if B was one of the reviewers, then the maximum number of people who would have reviewed it would be just 2, B and then A, right? In that particular case. Right? As per the rules given to us. Make sense? All right. Manu, if for example I'm given that L was one of the reviewers, right? If L was among the reviewers, so if I know that L was among the reviewers, then what is the maximum number of people who could have reviewed it? Maximum number of people is 4. He is among the reviewers. I'm not given that he was the person who got the document to review for the first time. I'm just given that, let's say these people had reviewed it. Now L was one of these reviewers. So then maximum how many people could have reviewed it? If L was one of the reviewers, it is possible that the document first came to Y, then L reviewed it, then D, then A. So 4 is the maximum possible number. It is possible that only 3 people reviewed it. If the document came directly to L, then it is possible only 3 people reviewed it. But the maximum number possible if L was one of the reviewers is that the document came to Y first or the document came to S first. In that case, these 4 would have reviewed it, right? Does that make sense? Are we okay with this? Yes, that's correct, Sanket. So if it was minimum that, we want minimum people to have reviewed it, then, and L should be one of the reviewers, then the answer would have been 3. Because L has to be one of the reviewers, that means that the document came to L because I want the minimum number of people to have reviewed it. So it came to L, but then since L reviewed it, D would have to review it. Since D reviewed it, A would have to review it too. So then the answer would be 3. That's correct. An answer for A would have been, with minimum number of people, yes. Then answer for A would have been 1. For minimum number of people, right? Otherwise, for A, we know for maximum number of people, our answer is 4. A was among the reviewers, right? Okay, I think any other questions? Are we good with this?